The Galactic Combat Academy's Training Hall 7 hummed with the usual pre-class chatter. Instructor Velkath, a towering Kryn warrior with 4 arms and battle scars that told stories of 100 campaigns, stood at the center of the mat. His species had dominated the Council's military forces for 3 centuries, their natural advantages in reach, strength, and regeneration making them the obvious choice for combat instruction. Today marked the first day of advanced combat techniques, and the class was a mixed group, Kryn, Thex, Vorlani, and 1 human. The human sat cross-legged at the edge of the mat, her posture relaxed but her dark eyes alert. Her name was Captain Sarah Chen, recently transferred from Earth's expeditionary forces. She was shorter than most species present, lighter in build, and possessed none of the natural weapons that adorned her classmates. No claws, no venomous spines, no reinforced exoskeleton, just meat and bone wrapped in the standard academy uniform. Velkath cleared all 4 throats simultaneously, an impressive sound that commanded immediate silence. Welcome to Advanced Combat Techniques. Before we begin, I must establish the primary rule of this class. His eyes swept across the assembled students. No kill moves in class. We are here to learn, not to create casualties. The techniques you will learn can be lethal, but in this hall, control is paramount. A few students nodded. The Thex clicked their mandibles in acknowledgement. The Vorlani's crystalline bodies chimed softly in agreement. Then a hand went up, the human's hand. Velkath's primary eyes focused on her. Yes, Captain Chen? Clarification, sir, Sarah said, her voice carrying clearly across the hall despite its lower pitch. When you say no kill moves, are you referring to unarmed techniques specifically, or does that include improvised weapons? The hall fell silent. Several students turned to stare at the human. Velkath's facial tendrils twitched, the Kryn equivalent of a raised eyebrow. In his 70 years of teaching, no one had ever asked for that particular clarification. The rule was simple: don't kill your classmates. The method seemed irrelevant. Both, he said slowly. No lethal techniques of any kind, Captain, whether unarmed or improvised. Understood, sir. Sarah lowered her hand, but Velkath noticed she glanced around the training hall with what appeared to be an assessing gaze, her eyes lingering on equipment racks, structural supports, and even the water dispensers along the wall. One of the Kryn students, a young warrior named Throck, leaned toward his companion. Why would she even ask that? He whispered. Humans have no natural weapons. What could she possibly improvise? His companion, older and more experienced, said nothing. He had served on a joint human-Kryn operation once. He knew better. Velkath proceeded with the lesson, demonstrating a complex grappling technique that utilized the Kryn's multiple limbs to create an inescapable hold. Students paired off to practice. The human was partnered with a Vorlani named Crystallis, whose silicon-based body made conventional holds challenging. As the class worked, Velkath circulated, offering corrections and guidance. He noticed that Captain Chen adapted quickly, finding purchase points on her partner's crystalline surface that even veteran instructors struggled to identify. More interesting was how she moved, efficient, precise, with no wasted energy. Every motion had purpose. Halfway through the session, Throck made a mistake. Overconfident in his natural advantages, he applied too much pressure to his Thex partner's thorax. The Thex chittered in pain, and Velkath immediately called a halt. Throck, excessive force. You could have cracked his carapace. Velkath pulled the young Kryn aside. This is exactly why control matters. Your strength is a gift, but uncontrolled, it becomes a liability. Yes, Instructor, Throck muttered, shame coloring his facial plates purple. Perhaps a demonstration would help, Velkath said, scanning the class. His eyes settled on the human. Captain Chen, would you assist? Sarah stood and approached the mat's center. She barely reached Throck's chest height. Throck, you will attempt to grapple Captain Chen using the technique we just learned. Captain Chen, you will defend and counter. Remember, control, not lethality. The 2 fighters bowed and took their positions. Throck's 4 arms flexed, his reach advantage obvious. He had at least twice her mass. Natural weapons in the form of bone spurs along his forearms, and skin tough enough to turn most blades. Sarah stood empty-handed watching. Throck lunged, all 4 arms reaching to establish the hold Velkath had demonstrated. He was fast. Kryn were always fast. But Sarah was faster. She stepped inside his reach, not away from it, and suddenly Throck was falling. He didn't understand how. One moment he was executing a textbook attack. The next his balance was gone, the world was spinning, and he was on his back with the human's knee resting lightly against his primary arm's joint. Not pressing, just there. A position of absolute control. "Yield," Velkath called. Sarah immediately stepped back, offering Throck a hand up. He took it, bewildered. "Again," Velkath said. This time Throck was cautious, trying to use his reach to grab her from a distance. Sarah slipped past his guard like water, and suddenly Throck was face down on the mat. 3 of his forearms hyperextended in directions they weren't meant to go. Not broken, not even injured, but completely immobilized. "Yield." Sarah released him instantly. "How?" Throck gasped, climbing to his feet. "You're half my size. You have no natural weapons, no—" "I have leverage," Sarah said simply. "I have anatomy knowledge. I have thousands of years of human martial arts development behind me." She smiled, but it wasn't a cruel expression. "And I have adaptability. Your species evolved to fight Kryn opponents. Mine evolved to fight everything. Each other, predators, environments, starvation, disease, and eventually, the universe itself." Velkath's tendrils were standing straight up now, surprise and respect. "Captain Chen, your question at the beginning of class. You asked about improvised weapons." "Yes, sir. What could you possibly improvise in a training hall?" Sarah's eyes did that assessing sweep again. "The water dispenser's supply hose has enough pressure to temporarily blind most species here. The floor mats can be rolled and used as bludgeons or restraints. The overhead lights mounting brackets are removable and would make effective striking weapons. The support columns are positioned to create choke points for tactical advantage. The equipment rack contains 16 items that could be weaponized in under 5 seconds each." She paused. "Should I continue, sir?" The hall was dead silent. "No," Velkath said quietly. "That won't be necessary." One of the older Kryn students, the one who had served with humans, spoke up. "Instructor, if I may?" Velkath nodded. "There's a saying among those who have fought alongside humans. A human without weapons is still armed. They don't see the world as we do. We see a room. They see opportunities. We see objects. They see tools. We evolved on worlds where we were apex predators. Humans evolved on a death world where they were prey that refused to die. It made them different," Sarah shrugged. "We just adapt. It's what we do." Velkath looked at his newest student with fresh understanding. The council had been integrating human forces into their military for only 5 years. Already, human tactical doctrine was revolutionizing combat theory. Not because humans were stronger or faster, they weren't, but because they thought differently. A human soldier never stopped being dangerous, never stopped adapting, never accepted defeat. "Class," Velkath announced. "I believe we have much to learn from Captain Chen. The lesson today is not just about technique, it's about mindset. Control is not weakness. Adaptation is not surrender. And having no natural weapons does not make one unarmed." He looked at Sarah. "Captain, would you be willing to demonstrate some human combat techniques?" "Non-lethal, of course," Sarah grinned. "Of course, sir. Though I should mention, humans have this saying about unarmed combat, which is, the human body has 206 bones. We've figured out how to break all of them." She paused, then added, "But don't worry. I'll show you the non-lethal versions." As she began teaching the class basic human martial arts principles, leverage, momentum, targeting nerve clusters, exploiting anatomical weaknesses, Velkath reflected on the galaxy's newest military members. The council had expected humans to be adequate soldiers, filling support roles where their adaptability might prove useful. They had not expected humanity to redefine what combat meant. That evening, Velkath updated his class notes. Next to no-kill moves in class, he added a new rule. Humans are not to be underestimated regardless of apparent disadvantages. And in smaller text beneath that, ever.